I married Emily, convinced she was my soulmate. For 6 years, we lived in steady, if unremarkable, happiness. We had 3 children, 2 of them twins, who were the heart of our world. Emily and I built our life in a suburban neighborhood with quiet streets and neatly trimmed lawns. I look back fondly on those early days. The calm of suburban nights made me feel secure, as if we were in a bubble where nothing truly bad could happen. After work, we'd settle in, laughter echoing through the house, the twins cooing in their cribs, our eldest already attempting to toddle around the living room. Emily would greet me with a radiant smile, a warm hug, and a playful grumble about diapers or dinner prep. Everything seemed perfect, so perfect that I couldn't imagine how quickly it would all fall apart. It began last year with a single decision Emily made without consulting me. That choice shattered our marriage, leaving only betrayal, anger, and a burning need for retribution. If anyone had told me back then that Emily's loyalty could be so fragile, I would have called them a liar. But the truth is, loyalty can vanish faster than you'd expect when someone decides their spouse no longer matters. One evening, Emily dropped the bombshell. Her twin sister, Laura, and Laura's husband, Mark, desperately wanted a child. After years of struggles, Laura's doctor suggested surrogacy, and Emily decided to be their surrogate. The real blow wasn't the idea itself. It was that she never discussed it with me. She'd already started the process behind my back. I remember the moment vividly, as if carved into my mind. We were on the couch, physically close but mentally distant, a late-night comedy show flickering on the TV, barely noticed. Emily glanced at me, phone in hand, and said casually, "James, I've decided to do something." Her tone raised red flags. She only spoke like that when she had a major announcement she was determined to push through. My stomach nodded. I muted the TV and asked, "What's going on? You look serious." She tucked a dark strand of hair behind her ear and said, "I'm going to be Laura's surrogate." I blinked. "What do you mean?" Emily met my gaze, her voice firm. "Laura can't have a baby. They've tried multiple IVF cycles and nothing's worked. The doctor suggested a surrogate, and since Laura and I share the same DNA, I'm practically the perfect candidate. I've already talked to the clinic." She said it so matter-of-factly that for a moment, I thought she was joking. When I saw no trace of a smile, my heart raced. "You've already what?" I said, swallowing hard. "Emily, are you saying you're carrying Mark's child?" She exhaled. "Laura's and Mark's child. It's their embryo. I'm just the carrier." My jaw tightened. "And when did you decide this? Exactly without telling me?" She lifted her chin. "I knew you'd overreact. This was my decision because Laura's my twin, and I can't bear seeing her suffer. Mark and I discussed it thoroughly, and I'm sure it's what I want." "You discussed it with Mark?" I repeated, a surge of anger rising in my gut. "Great, while your husband, find out last. Do you have any idea how this makes me feel?" Her eyes flashed with irritation. "James, I'm sorry, but it's my body. I'm doing this with or without your approval. I hoped you'd support me, and yes, I should have told you sooner, but I knew you'd try to stop me. This is too important." I was speechless for a moment, my throat tight with fury. "So that's it? You expect me to accept a pregnancy that isn't mine, to watch you carry another man's child in our home, and think I'll just smile and go along?" Emily set her phone down, crossing her arms. "Call it what you want, but it's happening. Laura and Mark are counting on me, and if you truly love me, you'll respect that." An icy calm settled over me, more unsettling than outright rage. Respect? You don't show respect by making choices that affect our marriage without me. This isn't just about your body, it's about our family. She stood, fists clenched. Stop acting like the victim. Laura's family too, and I'm saving her. If you can't see that, maybe I've misjudged you all these years. That final remark pushed me over the edge. Misjudged me? Emily, if you go through with this, it'll tear us apart. She brushed past me, shoulders stiff. Then maybe we're not as strong as I thought. I stayed behind, seething, my heart pounding so hard I could hear the blood rushing in my ears. I tried to breathe through the anger, but it felt like a betrayal so deep I couldn't name it. Everything had changed. The days that followed were tense. Emily openly discussed doctor's appointments, fertility medications, and implantation schedules, as if we were talking about grocery lists, not a life-altering surrogacy. I could barely listen without feeling sick. Each mention drove home that she'd destroyed our partnership. 2 evenings after her announcement, I came home to find a box from a fertility clinic in our fridge. Vials, syringes, and instructions scattered on the kitchen table. Emily was flipping through a thick stack of papers. "What's all this?" I asked sharply, staring at the items. She glanced up. "Hormone treatments. I need to start them to prepare my body for the embryo transfer. The clinic sent them earlier than expected." I looked at her in disbelief. "You didn't think this deserved a conversation?" She shrugged. "I already told you we're past discussions. I'm moving forward." My voice came out low but strained. "You're ignoring my feelings. You don't care that you're pushing me away, do you?" She rolled her eyes. "Stop being dramatic. It's 9 months. Then I hand the baby to Laura. I'm not replacing our children," I muttered. "Rationalize it all you want, but if you do this, I'm not staying in this marriage." She looked up, her gaze steely. "James, you're free to leave if your pride can't handle my choice." My face burned. Pride? This isn't about pride. It's about partnership. You blindsided me, discussed it with Mark. Her voice rose. "So what if I talk to Mark? He's the father of the embryo. He had to be part of it." I let out a bitter laugh. "And I'm the husband you vowed to honor? Or is that irrelevant now?" She picked up the papers again, dismissing me. "We're done here, James." I stood there, pain in my chest. She wouldn't see the damage she was causing. I turned and left, trying to steady my breath. That night, lying awake, I decided if Emily was set on this path alone, so be it. I'd file for divorce. I couldn't bear watching her carry Mark's child. When Emily learned I'd contacted a lawyer, she stormed into the living room where I was helping our eldest with homework, fury radiating from her. Careful not to alarm our child, who was busy coloring, she hissed. "How dare you?" I set down the crayon, told our kid to stay put, and led Emily to the hallway. "Keep your voice down," I said. "I don't want the kids hearing." She glared. "You thought it was okay to rush to a lawyer and start divorce proceedings?" My chest burned. "I told you what would happen if you went forward without me, and you did it anyway. I'm done being ignored." She shook her head, tears of anger in her eyes. "James, we can fix this. Just accept that I'm doing this and we'll move on." I raised a hand. "No, you're not listening. There's no fixing this. You went behind my back, used our money, signed up for surrogacy as if our marriage was secondary." Her lips trembled. "I didn't think it would come to divorce. God, you're so cold." I barked a short laugh. "Maybe I am now, but I wasn't until you made that choice. She opened her mouth to retort, then closed it, too furious to speak. Finally, she spun and marched upstairs. I stood there, heart pounding, wishing this was all a nightmare. In our state, a 1-year separation is required before finalizing a divorce. Emily knew this, and for that year we lived under the same roof. She refused to move out, claiming she had nowhere to go, needed rest, and the kids deserved stability. I didn't want to uproot our children either, so I endured her presence, though endured is generous. She took the guest room or the living room couch. I kept the master bedroom. We moved like strangers, barely speaking. The kids noticed, asking why Mom and Dad no longer ate together. We tried to act civil for them, but tension seeped into every corner of the house. One weekend, Laura and Mark showed up, flipping through a glossy baby stroller catalog in our living room as if they owned it. Our kids were outside playing, so I didn't bother with courtesy. Mark stood from my recliner. "James, hey, we're just, planning for the baby." Emily, rubbing her slightly rounded belly, added, "Mark and Laura want to ensure we're prepared. I need certain things here for comfort." I stared at her. Why can't Mark buy those for his own home, where the baby will live? Mark gave an uneasy chuckle. "We thought it'd be good to have supplies here while Emily's carrying." I cut him off. "Don't talk about supplies in my house like it's your baby hub." Emily's cheeks flushed. "You're being unreasonable. Do you expect me to stand for hours at their place if I'm nauseous?" I clenched my jaw. "You live here, but maybe Mark and Laura should respect me and not treat this house like their planning headquarters." Laura, standing behind the couch, gave me a cold look. "James, we don't enjoy being here. We're just trying to make this easier for Emily." My anger flared. "Easier? You pulled Emily into this behind my back. If you care so much, set up everything at your place. Buy every item in that catalog. Just not here. If you keep showing up unannounced, we'll have a problem." Emily stood, indignant. "You can't ban them from the house. This is my home too." I turned to her. "You should have thought of that before sharing your pregnancy with them instead of me." We glared at each other until Laura grabbed Mark's arm. "Let's go," she said, her voice shaking with anger. Emily pointed at me. "You're acting like a child. You're alienating our kids' aunt and uncle." I shrugged. "I'd rather alienate them than let them waltz in as if my marriage doesn't matter." The following months were a grim routine. Emily's belly grew. She complained of morning sickness, back pain, and constant fatigue. She expected me to care, asking, "James, can you grab some crackers from the kitchen?" Or, "Can you get a pillow for my back?" I refused every time. She'd hiss, "What kind of heartless man are you, watching the mother of your children suffer?" I'd snap back, "You're Mark's surrogate. Let him handle it. Or call Laura. I've got my own concerns, like raising our kids and keeping this house running." She'd storm off, often in tears, accusing me of cruelty, but her tears fell on the hardened shell of my heart. She'd shown no compassion when she chose to carry another man's child without discussion, so I offered none in return. One night, she knocked on my door. "I can't sleep. My legs are cramping. Can you rub them, like when I was pregnant with our twins?" I stared at her from the doorway, her face a mix of desperation and hope, and said flatly, "No," then shut the door. The kids noticed the strain. Our eldest asked, "Dad, why don't you hug Mom anymore?" I swallowed the bitter truth and said gently, "Sometimes grown-ups disagree, but I love you and will always be here." The innocence in their eyes made me want to blame Mark and Laura, But mostly, I resented Emily for letting this happen. Emily's family got involved. Her mother called, voice dripping with judgment. James, you're so selfish. Emily's doing a selfless act for her sister. How can you not support her? I replied coldly. Ask your daughter why she did it without telling me. I owe her nothing. Her father tried intimidation over the phone. You're heading down a dark path if you don't help Emily. We'll make you regret it. I smirked. Funny. I already regret trusting your daughter with my marriage. Good luck with your threats. They hung up. Her entire family saw me as a monster, but I knew the court would see facts. Emily was pregnant with another man's child, using our joint funds without my consent. That was on her point. One of the worst confrontations came in the 7th month. Emily, heavy with pregnancy, returned home struggling with grocery bags, nearly dropping one on the porch. She called out, James, please help. My back's killing me. I opened the door, arms crossed. Ask Mark or Laura. They're why you're pregnant. Her eyes glistened with tears, but anger flashed beneath. I spent hours at the hospital for checkups. I'm exhausted. I'm still your wife, whether you like it or not. I snorted. Not for long and definitely not in spirit. You made that clear. She let out a frustrated wail and dragged the bags inside alone. Couple of cans fell, rolling on the porch, but I didn't move. She bruised her arm wrestling the bags in, then, breathless, glared at me. You can't keep punishing me like this. I raised an eyebrow. I'm not punishing you. I'm just refusing to play the supportive husband you threw away. She touched her belly, tears streaming. When this baby's born, you'll wish you weren't so callous. I laughed, a hollow sound. I won't, because you'll be gone, and this child will be out of our lives. She gasped as if I'd hit her, then stormed to the guest room, leaving the house stiflingly silent. When Emily went into labor unexpectedly in the 8th month, it was past midnight. I heard moans and frantic knocks on my bedroom door. James, she shouted, voice trembling. My water broke. The contractions are coming. Please help. I opened the door to see her face twisted in pain, hands braced on her swollen belly, hair matted with sweat. For a split second, memories of helping her through labor with our children flashed through my mind, but bitterness swept them away. I'm not taking you to the hospital, I said coldly. That's Mark's job. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Mark's not answering. Laura's phone goes to voicemail. I need to get to the hospital now. I shrugged, stepping back. Call an ambulance. She gripped the doorframe as another contraction hit. James, please. You can't let me suffer like this. I locked eyes with her. Watch me. This is what happens when you ignore your spouse's feelings. Good luck with the baby. I'm going back to bed. She sobbed as I closed the door. She fumbled in the hallway, likely calling 911. Within 15 minutes, paramedics arrived, their ambulance lights flashing across my window. I heard them take her away. Guilt pricked at me for a moment, but I forced it down. She'd chosen to disregard me. Why should I rush to her side when the child wasn't mine? The next morning, my phone was flooded with calls from Emily's mother, her voicemail screaming that I'd abandoned Emily during labor. I deleted them after the first few seconds. She wanted a baby for her sister. Let her rely on Laura's family. Emily and the baby, a premature but stable girl, stayed in the hospital for days. Laura had her own health issues, so Mark was stretched thin between 2 hospital rooms. I carried on as usual, school drop-offs, work, cooking dinner. When Emily's mother called to say Emily would be home soon, I said, "That's her choice," and hung up. Emily returned pale and exhausted, carrying the newborn in a car seat. She set it down, exhaled, and sank onto the couch. The baby stirred, crying softly. I stared at the infant, a tiny pink reminder of the surrogacy that ruined my marriage. "Why are you here with the baby?" I asked sharply. "Shouldn't it be with Laura?" Emily closed her eyes. "Laura's still in the hospital with complications. Mark's overwhelmed. They asked me to keep the baby here for a few weeks." I scoffed. "They asked? Or you volunteered?" She glared. "Does it matter? I can't abandon her. She's helpless." "You should have thought of that before becoming a surrogate," I said. "Let's be clear. I'm not helping. If you're too tired to handle the crying, that's your problem." She wiped a tear. "Were you always this cruel? Or did I make you this way?" She whispered, almost to herself. "Ask yourself that when the baby's screaming at night," I replied, walking away to start dinner. For the next month, the house was filled with the infant's cries. Emily, half awake, shuffled around warming bottles, begging me for help. I refused every time. One night, tears dripping onto the bottle in her hands, she said, "I need 30 minutes to lie down. The baby's been crying for hours." I held her gaze unmoved. "Call Mark or your mother." She turned away, sobbing, the baby's cries echoing down the hall. I felt a flicker of remorse for the child. It wasn't at fault, but this was Emily's doing, not mine. Her parents visited often, pointing fingers, calling me a monster, a coward, an unfit husband. Her father cornered me in the kitchen. "You should be ashamed. Emily's postpartum. She needs rest. You can't abandon her." I glared. She should have thought of that before crossing my boundaries. "Let Mark handle the baby. It's not my problem." He stormed off, cursing. Their condemnation was constant, but I endured it with grim satisfaction. They thought me heartless, but the law was on my side, especially when finances came into play. The divorce process was slow but moved forward. My lawyer showed that Emily used our joint funds for surrogacy expenses, sometimes forging my signature. Court documents outlined her deception and disregard for my objections. The judge took a dim view of the forgery. Emily's lawyer tried to paint me as a cruel man who abandoned his pregnant wife. But since the baby wasn't mine and she'd hidden her plans, her argument carried little weight. Laura and Mark stayed silent on finances, likely relieved they weren't liable. They wanted the baby, but with Laura's ongoing health issues and Mark's unstable job, they couldn't take custody immediately. The baby's presence in our home became a tense, resented arrangement everyone loathed. 2 weeks before the final hearing, Emily approached me in the living room, the baby asleep in a bassinet. "I need financial help," she said bluntly. I looked up from my laptop. "For what?" She hesitated, then crossed her arms. "My doctor says I should focus on postpartum recovery. I shouldn't have to find a job right away." I raised an eyebrow. "You're not my responsibility anymore, Emily." Her mouth tightened. "I'm still the mother of your 3 children. I'm not talking about surrogacy money. I mean money to live, to feed our kids when they're with me, to cover my share of expenses." I closed my laptop slowly. "After the divorce, I'll pay child support as required by law. No spousal support." Her eyes flashed. "I deserve some financial security. I sacrificed my body for your sister." I cut her off. "Not for me. That's the difference." Her voice trembled. "You're unbelievably cruel. You don't care that I'm struggling with postpartum depression." I stared at her. I care about our children, not Mark's baby or the postpartum you chose. You made this bed, Emily. Lie in it. She pressed her lips together, tears welling. You'll regret this, she said, voice shaking with rage and sorrow. I shook my head. You've said that before. The only regret is that we're in this mess at all. She walked away, leaving me with the quiet. The baby slept on, unaware of the war zone around it. The week before the court date, Emily moved to her mother's, taking the baby until Laura recovered. She packed quickly, tears streaming as she folded clothes. Our confused children asked if Mom was leaving for good. She reassured them she'd see them often and love them. They nodded, sadness weighing on their faces. On the day she left, she stood in the foyer, baby carrier at her feet, a small suitcase in hand. Her eyes were red-rimmed. James, one last time, don't do this. Don't finalize the divorce. I'll find a way to fix things. I felt a tug in my chest but let it pass. Fix things by undoing what you did? That's impossible. A tear rolled down her cheek. I never thought I'd lose you. I just wanted to help Laura. I nodded bitterly. You helped Laura and burned our marriage to the ground. Goodbye, Emily. She swallowed hard, picked up the carrier, and left. The door closed softly, the sound echoing through the empty house. I exhaled shakily, feeling something like relief for the first time that the final court date. Emily sat with her lawyer, I with mine. Mark and Laura in the gallery looked anxious. The judge, a stern woman, reviewed the documents. Emily's lawyer gave a tearful speech about how I'd abandoned her while pregnant and was emotionally abusive. My lawyer presented a clear timeline. Emily chose surrogacy without my consent, spent marital funds, and forged my signature. I'd repeatedly voiced my refusal, which she ignored. The judge found Emily's actions a blatant disregard for our partnership. She acknowledged the baby wasn't mine, so I had no financial or parental obligations. She saw no reason for spousal support, given Emily's misuse of funds. I was awarded primary custody of our 3 children. Emily got visitation rights if she could prove a stable environment. She was also ordered to repay part of the misused funds. As the judge spoke, Emily's face crumpled, tears falling. She covered her mouth, shoulders shaking. Mark and Laura exchanged stricken glances. My heart thudded, but I felt vindicated. My revenge was complete. In the hallway, Emily approached, eyes swollen. James, she whispered, voice trembling. I didn't want it to end like this. I'm sorry. I made a mistake, but I didn't think you'd cut me off like this. I remembered the nights I'd begged her not to do it, her dismissive replies. You put Mark and Laura's needs above ours and lied about it. That's more than a mistake. It destroyed us. She let out a ragged breath. I just wish you could forgive me someday. I stared coldly. You forged my signature, ignored my pleas. Forgiveness doesn't come cheap. Goodbye, Emily. Laura stepped closer, trying to touch my arm. James, she's remorseful. She did it for me. Pulled away. You got your baby, Laura. Deal with the fallout. You and Mark can support Emily if you think she deserves it. I'm done. They stood speechless as I walked away. The corridor felt brighter, as if a crushing weight had lifted in the weeks after the decree. Emily lived with her mother, the baby still with her until Laura recovered. During custody exchanges, she looked frail, regretful, asking about the kids. I answered politely but kept my distance. She'd cast longing glances, hoping for warmth, but I offered none. Mark and Laura eventually took their baby, but rumors said their life was no fairy tale. Mark's hours were cut, and Laura's hospital bills piled up. Emily, financially drained, struggled to find steady work. Our kids, though, thrived once the tension left the house. We settled into a calm routine: school, outings, family movie nights. No more crying baby waking everyone. No more silent battles in the halls. Emily occasionally texted or emailed about regrets, how she hadn't foreseen Mark's unreliability or Laura's health issues, how surrogacy hadn't helped but caused chaos. I replied minimally, only about the kids' schedules. One day, my eldest, playing with Legos, asked, "Dad, do you still love Mom?" I knelt beside them. "I care about her because she's your mom. But sometimes grown-ups change and break trust." They nodded, returning to their bricks, the matter settled in their mind. Kids are so straightforward. I love them fiercely for it, no pretense or hidden agendas. A year after the divorce, I felt free. I kept the house, my job, and primary custody. Emily drifted in and out of the kids' lives, never quite finding her footing. People asked why I didn't help her post-birth when she was overwhelmed. I'd say, she made a choice that excluded me, and she faced the consequences. They'd call me merciless, and maybe I was. But in a marriage, respect and honesty are vital. She showed neither. Why revenge wasn't violence or public shaming. It was letting her face every consequence of her choice alone. I withdrew the support she took for granted, showing her how harsh the world can be when you betray your spouse's trust. The judge sided with me, as did life's stark reality. If you ask if I regret my ruthlessness, I'll say no. Emily struck the first blow by betraying me. I responded by giving her the autonomy she wanted. No shared finances, no emotional support, no pretense we'd stay married through a pregnancy I didn't consent to. I gained my freedom and my children. She was left to wrestle with the selfless act that shattered our marriage. This is the story of how surrogacy for her sister turned Emily from my beloved wife into a stranger, and how I found satisfaction in not rescuing her from her own choices. If that's cruel, then cruelty was the price of my dignity, and I was more than willing to pay it.